cheapest asset class I know are commodities. I mean, bonds are certainly the highest they've been in history. Property in many places is in a bubble. Go to New Zealand or Korea or places, you see bubbles in property in lots of places. In many parts of America, some stocks have been. Apple and Amazon and Tencent and Samsung, those stocks were going up all the time. So bubbles were developing in those stocks. The only thing I know that's still cheap are the commodities. I mean, silver's down 70% from its all-time high. Sugar's down 70%. I mean, people haven't been rushing out and buying a lot of commodities in recent years. I am not buying them at the moment myself, but you're asking about cheap asset classes. And some countries, I mean, Uzbekistan is very cheap right now. I've made a few investments in Uzbekistan recently, but it's hard to find stock markets or bond markets that haven't been overexploited in the last few years. That's what a long bull market does. People get around to everything eventually. What I have learned about myself is I like to have the feeling that I can sell something. And if you're investing in private equity or venture capital, you cannot sell it. I don't like that feeling, so I have learned enough about myself. I like to think that I can sell whether I can or sometimes you invest in some of these illiquid markets you really can't sell. You think you can. I basically stay away from venture capital private markets. Bitcoin went from $1 to 60,000. Do I wish I had owned it? Of course I do, but I do not know. I do not mind missing things. I've missed many things in my day, and some things I just know it's not for me, and I'm not going to buy. And as far as I'm concerned, most of the cryptocurrencies are going to go to zero eventually. Hundreds have already disappeared. I have had investments in defense at times in my life. I don't think I have many now, if any. But no, certainly if we're going to be war, military companies will do very well. They always have. I don't think I have any investments in that sector right now. The stock market's down, 19 or 20%? I've been around long enough to know that 19 or 20% is not very serious. Wait till it's down 70 or 80%. Wait till you see companies going bankrupt, left, right, and center. So far, this is not fun. Do not get me wrong. This is not fun, but it's certainly not dramatic or even significant in the history of financial markets. I mean, I said before, the same thing happens. You have a lot of new people coming in. They say it's different this time. They say, you don't understand. You're too old. I've heard all of this before. Same stories. They call their friends and say it's very exciting. It's not my first time. I've seen this rodeo before. Well, unfortunately, many people, when they're down 50, 70%, say, oh my gosh, I lost a lot of money. Now I have to go back and make it back. And then they start taking more risk. And my answer to them is, no, you don't have to act quickly. The best thing you can do is to sit and do nothing for a while, recover, figure out what's going on. Because if you just rush in when you're emotionally wounded after losing a lot of money, you're usually going to make even more mistakes. So my best advice to people at that stage is do nothing, close the window, and just wait, recover, and then wait until you find something that you know is going to be good. Do not get emotional. Now, listen, I make the same mistakes. Don't think I don't. The reason I know this happened is because it happens to me. It happens to everybody. I once had a great success in the markets, gigantic success. And I got very cocky. I began to think I was smart. I began to think I knew what I was doing. I had sold short, and I had actually bought puts and made a lot of money. So I covered my puts on the day the market made the bottom. And so I said, well, I'll wait for the market to rally, and then I'll sell short. And I did, and the market rallied. I sold short, but 3 or 4 months later, I was wiped out. And the reason I was wiped out is because I still did not know a lot about markets. I assumed that people knew what I knew, that most of the companies I shorted went bankrupt in the end. But I lost everything first because I did not know enough about markets. I did not know about trading. I did not know enough how markets reacted and how the public reacted. And so I lost everything. Now, I was very depressed. Don't think this was fun. I guess I could have become a priest or killed myself or who knows what. But I didn't. All I could do was start over, and I did. And somehow or another, I survived. And my best advice to everybody is what I said before. If you lose a lot of money, don't think you have to jump in and make it up again right away. Calm down, wait, recover until you find something that you know will work. So I'm the world's worst market timer. I've learned that in my investing career. No matter what I want to invest in, I know my timing is going to be bad. I have learned to wait after I decide there's something I want to invest in. But even then, my timing is usually bad. I am very bad at market timing. Some people are great. I've known people who they don't really know a whole lot about what they're investing in, but they are fantastic market timers. They are great short-term traders. And if they own something for a week, it's a long time, but they're so good at it. They're so good at short-term trading, and they can be successful. I'm terrible. I'm horrible at short-term trading, so I am not good at market timing. If I've had success in my life, it's finding things that are depressed. It usually means they're ignored, because if something's ignored, it's usually not expensive. It's usually depressed. And finding change. If I can find something that is cheap, where there's enormous positive change taking place, and I can make an investment, I usually am successful in that investment. It often takes a while. As I told you, my timing is not very good usually, but I have learned to wait and then make an investment. And then, I am lazy, because then if you find investments like that, you can own them for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. For me, that's a great way to invest. But as I said, I know people who owning something for 3 days is long term. The third year of a presidential cycle in American history has usually been a good year in the American stock market. And this is year 3 coming up. And the reason that happens is politicians try to spend a lot of money preparing for year 4, the next election, so they can get reelected. So I would imagine that things are really better than we read, just because the world doesn't work that way. If everybody knows something, it's usually wrong. You know what they know. They know what to do. They know to spend money. They know who in their constituencies wants a new park or a new school or a new road, and they'll spend it. And they will do that. They always have anyway. These are the guys know how to buy votes, and I suspect that they will do that. That's not to say that there won't be a recession coming eventually. It's just that I have never seen in my investing career or read about one that was so widely anticipated and so widely forecast. They should only put their money where they themselves know a lot about where they're putting their money. Otherwise, when things go wrong, you don't know what to do. And things probably will go wrong again. You mentioned the 70s. We had big inflation in those days, and as you point out, it's worse now. But in 1980, the interest rate on United States government treasury bills was over 21%. That's not a typo. They had to raise interest rates what would be extremely high now, in order to kill inflation. Interest rates are nothing compared to 21% now. So if we're going to solve this problem, we're going to have to face a lot of pain. Do I like it? No, but I have to deal with facts. This is 2023, and 2022 is finished. I don't think we have those risks. And if we do, we have a very serious problem if we're still worried about 2022. No, the biggest risk are the central banks, not just the Federal Reserve. The guy in Japan has said, he will print his word unlimited amounts of money. And he does. Goes to work every day and prints as fast as he can. We have a lot of central banks doing things like that. Therein lies our problem. Whenever you have a lot of money printing, it distorts markets, it distorts inflation, it distorts interest rates and gigantic debt. In 1980, America was a creditor nation. We were still a creditor. Now we're the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. Big things have changed since then, but not for the good, at least not as far as an American, which I am. No, I see what's happening. There was no there was still red China then. There was still Soviet Union then. A lot of huge things that have changed in the world.